Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Worst, a podcast where we review movie trilogies and decide which film doesn't know how the Force works. I'm your host Griner, and joining me today.
I'm Luke Morgan, and all remaining systems will bow to the First Order and will remember this as the last day of the Republic!
And I'm Conan, and podcasting is a pathway to many abilities that some consider to be unnatural.
Could have used that line for nearly all of these movies. So it's our final podcast in our trilogy of podcasts about trilogies. The final lot of trilogies of Star Wars, the sequel trilogies. Boys, how do we go?
Yes.
Did we enjoy ourselves?
I really did. I love this trilogy for the most part. Like these films, I don't know, I'll get into it later, but yeah, I love these films. I love the characters, despite their flaws and some of the stuff, and I love a lot of the nostalgia stuff we get from the original trilogy, especially in Force Awakens in this one. But I've got like a sentimental thing for Force Awakens, and yeah, I really loved watching them again. And my son, these were his favorite ones. Like he got super into Star Wars after watching these three. So
Yeah, I really like these films. I have really good memories about these. I saw all three of them like midnight launches here with a gradually dwindling group of friends, but a group of friends nonetheless.
mhm.
And so they were all sort of, they were all those massive experiences like they were meant to be. We saw them, we went out afterwards at like 4 a.m. or like just talked about it. And then, the whole next 24 hours was a mess because felt like I was jet lagged, but they were really fun then. And they're still, they conjure that. Every time I watch them, I'm like, yeah, I remember the experience of that. Star Wars is cool. Star Wars is a good thing because of one or two of these films. But the general experience of Star Wars is a good thing.
Yeah, these movies, I don't know, somehow they managed to release them within a day of my birthday every year. So it was a nice
I
experience.
knew it for you, man.
Yeah, it was a nice experience to go out for my birthday. I think we went to Gold Class for a couple of them, and it was just good memories. And man, after watching the prequel trilogy, these movies are a visual delight. Like
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my
almost
god.
almost flawless visually, in my opinion. Like just
Yep.
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. And I suppose we'll get into a few of the scenes, but holy dooly, these movies just look so good. And I
Yeah.
mean, they were nominated for Academy Awards for their visual effects and stuff, and rightly so. The Academy doesn't respect sci-fi, so they didn't award them anything, but or space operas, shall we?
But
Like
they were referenced.
That's right.
legitimately, like aesthetically, these films are amazing. Like
Yeah.
I wrote so many notes on just certain scenes that I think are amazing. And not just the prequel trilogy, but I think, as we discussed in the original trilogy with George Lucas meddling with it and putting weird CGI stuff and ruining a bunch of scenes.
Yeah.
This felt like just right, like the right bowl of porridge,
Yep. Medicine after having to swallow all that. Yeah. The
Yes.
sweetness after all that medicine we had to swallow. So, stats. We ready for some stats? There's some interesting stats here.
Stats.
The Force Awakens, $936 million in the US. It is still the number one unadjusted film all time, all time ranking number one for the biggest
Really?
box office. Yeah, according to Wikipedia. I don't know if it's unadjusted or adjusted, but it's ranked number one in the US and Canada for all
So
time
like domestically, that's like
box office. Yep.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
The
It was
last,
big. It was huge.
it
Yeah,
was
it
huge,
was.
but it surprises me because normally we see trilogies get bigger, but in this case, The
Mm.
Last Jedi only 620 million, and Rise of Skywalker 515 million. Obviously, still enormous
Oh,
movies. All of them are in
Mm.
the top 15 highest ranking, like highest grossing films of all time,
Yep.
domestically in the US. But
almost
big,
half for
big
Rise of
movies.
Skywalker.
Yeah,
What Force Awakens had? That's shocking.
That doesn't surprise me too much because you think about the Star Wars what's the word? I'm gonna say lethargy, but that's not it.
yeah. The fatigue.
The fatigue, that's the word. You think thinking back to the fatigue, I remember that happening and watching Rogue One come out and then Last Jedi and the Backlash and then Solo
And then Solo.
and just gradually watching and talking to people and like slowly watching the spark die in their eyes as they realize, maybe Disney is less the Republic and more of the Empire than we than we realize. They are the truest Palpatine, right? They came to us as Senator and was like, we want to do good. And gradually we're realizing they're just putting their tentacles in everything and maybe not for the best.
And here's the thing, like Solo's a solid film, and Rogue One's, I think, a very great film. I really
No.
like. You don't like Rogue One?
I don't like either of them. No.
Oh, okay. I haven't
Rogue One
watched
bad.
either of them a second time, and I don't know if I ever would, but I enjoyed certain scenes in some of them, but found them fun. But yeah, 100%, like having a Star Wars movie every year from Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker after having no Star Wars film for 10 years, it definitely
Yeah,
it's not magic anymore.
no, that's
Yeah.
right. I think they did skip one in 2018. I think Solo was supposed to come out and it was delayed, I think, from memory, but
So it came out in May, right before Rise of
Oh,
Skywalker.
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's 20 year.
it was too much. The critical reception, Force Awakens 80 on Metacritic, Last Jedi 84 on Metacritic, and Rise of Skywalker 53 on Metacritic. The Rotten Tomatoes scores maybe are a little bit more reflective, 93, 91, and 52. So I don't know. At least they have
Man,
Force Awakens higher, but
yeah,
It's
steep drop off.
still there's a big discussion to have around The Last Jedi, which
Is
I can't wait. But
yeah,
That's the only discussion to have, really, isn't it? This whole trilogy is about that film.
yeah.
Well, before we get into it, where do we slot our friend Dennis Franz into these films?
In The Force Awakens, he is the traitor who Rey gives the stuff to.
Oh, but then we lose Simon Pegg.
That's Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Wait, he's like giving the pieces. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
There is
portions.
so many cameos in these movies of people behind masks and
Yeah, it's
but
pretty cool.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel
man,
Craig.
James Bond.
It's a good one.
I'd never noticed
Great.
it before, but this watching, I'm like, that's totally Daniel Craig right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
I don't know who else then. It's not.
Like obvious choice is Kylo Ren.
He's nearly got that thickness, like he's almost there.
Yeah.
The swallow.
And swallow.
Snoke. Just have him as
Yeah, I was
Snoke.
gonna say Snoke can kind of works.
Have him as an Imperial officer, not Hux, because I like Hux, but
Yeah,
someone
Domhnall
with,
Gleeson's
like,
good.
Could be one of Palpatine's failed clones.
He could
Yeah.
actually just be any of the kind of the aliens, right? Like any of the
Yeah.
or like the crew you see in the background is like, oh, there's a dude. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Admiral Akbar's brother.
It's an option. You know what? I didn't get some synopsises for these movies. I knew I forgot to do something.
That's
What
an
about-
interesting segue. As you go.
I was just gonna say, what about Maz Kanata?
I did think about her, yeah.
Maz is
Having
played by
removed
Lupita
goggles.
Nyong'o, which is such a like. I don't get why they got her specifically. It's just I'm interested in the casting behind that.
Who is she? Why would I know her?
Black
She's-
Panther, 12 Years a
yeah.
Slave.
Yeah, Us, main character and protagonist in Us.
Great actress.
Yeah, but she's in that
I-
Australian film, Little Monsters.
I feel like she was meant for more, but for some reason it didn't.
It felt like there's a lot of characters in the first movie that were meant for more. And
100%, man.
Yes, I wonder who's
Get
responsible
into
for that.
Johnson.
Oh,
all right, here's a quick synopsis of The Force Awakens. 30 years after the defeat of Darth Vader and the Empire, Rey, a scavenger from the planet Jakku, finds a BB-8 droid that knows the whereabouts of the long-lost Luke Skywalker. Rey, as well as a rogue stormtrooper and 2 smugglers, are thrown into the middle of a battle between the Resistance and the daunting legions of the First Order.
all right. There's one. Sorry, you go before
I was just going to say, how much fun is this first movie? Anyway,
So
go for
good.
it.
So good.
No, this movie's dope. This movie's awesome.
Yeah.
So many people who I talk to about Star Wars are like, oh, Force Awakens is rubbish. And this is where the main question comes in. Is this just a remake of A New Hope?
No.
I agree.
As the video you sent to us the other day,
It's so good.
It's an homage to the original trilogy. The whole trilogy.
Yeah. In 3 minutes, that video summed it up.
I have a hot take with this film, though. I do have a hot take. Best Star Wars film. Hands down for me.
I can't follow. You're going down a path that I can't follow.
No, I understand. Not agreeable with you guys, but for me, 100%, I enjoyed this film way more than any other Star Wars film. I adore this film. This is like easily my favorite Star Wars film. It's one of my favorite films, and yeah,
I will. It's top 3, and I will put. I can on a good day, I could have a conversation that
2.
it's second place.
I would probably be there
Like
with you. Yeah.
watching Force Awakens, which I'm like, I know you kind of know the beats so well, and it loses a bit of its magic. Whereas this one is just such a good movie, and I
Yeah.
think it does such an amazing job of capturing like the energy of the originals, the
Yeah.
fun, but also like the earnestness of it. And like that video said, and I didn't just steal my ideas from videos, but like it's an homage to the original trilogy. It sort of recreates that and creates a new story by containing that. It's almost a perfect sequel in that way by saying, it's familiar enough, but it's different enough. All the characters are, you kind of know the archetypes, but it does enough that's different. It does enough that's distinct that it's always so, it's just so compelling. And it's always like, this is Star Wars. The whole time I was watching this and when I rewatched them, I was like, this is a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
two, you can see things, and even the prequels, you can really see a lot of non-Star Warsy stuff. But this is like comparable with A New Hope in every way.
This is someone who grew up loving Star Wars, finally making a Star Wars film when there hasn't been one in 10 years. This is the perfect Star Wars film to bring Star Wars back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you got Lawrence Kasdan, like the writer of Empire, who
Empire.
knows Star Wars, or who made the thing.
Yeah.
It works really well, like you say, as a movie coming out so much later. Like it's trying to capture the original Star Wars like 40 years later, like, and it does such
Yep.
a good job. And like you say, like it brings back these archetype characters, but the other thing I really enjoy is like they're not exactly the same. Like Rey is very different to Luke in that she wants to stay on Jakku. She's being pulled away from Jakku, but that's where she wants to stay. Whereas Luke, he's just trying to get off that planet. He doesn't want to go look for moisture converters. He wants to get out and see the world. Like they end up on the same path, but they have very different motivations. And Kylo
Yeah,
Ren, like I don't know.
so good.
You
He's
get it's
not Vader.
he's so good, and he is not Vader. Like he wants to be Vader, but he's almost the opposite. He's the opposite way. Like he's feeling the draw of the light. He
I
almost
love
doesn't.
it. I
He
love
doesn't
that.
have the strength to fell his father there. Like
It's
it's
amazing.
such a good scene. It's such a good play on those archetypes because like we know what we're expecting, and they just tweak it just enough to make it like I so want to see where these characters end up. We get this stormtrooper that's defected. Like that is so interesting. Something we
Yeah,
never get before, and it's a perfect setup for a trilogy, I think.
yeah,
Like in that, it gives you all this nostalgia. It gets it all out of the way in a lot of ways, and
yep.
then it introduces us to these characters that are interesting and have these new ideas. The only thing I don't like is that I feel like they never make good on that, and it tarnishes this film because there's
It
like
breaks my heart.
Yeah,
Finn. Like, what's the point of giving a Finn a lightsaber at any point in this movie? Like
looks cool.
they so tease him as like being somewhat sensitive to the Force because Kylo like turns around and notices him,
Mm,
and like they give him the lightsaber and they just totally don't follow through on it.
yeah,
They almost like Finn is totally the most forgotten character after the first movie.
But
He's
he's
the
not in this one though. Like I
no,
That's
he's not.
promise,
right.
man. You watch this first one, and I remember like being like so excited for the trilogy and being like,
Mm,
"Oh my god, I can't wait for the next one!" Like,
Yeah,
I was so excited. I can like since Lord of the Rings Fellowship, waiting for Two Towers. Like, I was so ready for Last Jedi. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
um,
Oh,
oh
just and the ending, like you see Luke Skywalker, you see Mark Hamill there.
yeah,
I remember everyone came out and was like, we're all a little bit annoyed, and I still am a bit annoyed that you don't get it in the next one.
yeah.
But I was like, I am so keen for 20, was it
yeah,
2018?
2017.
2017?
2017 Last
I'm so
Jedi.
keen for 2017. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this. And history
Why did they
telling
change
story.
director? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like
It's such
all
a
the stuff
balls up. Yeah.
this sets up, like everything in this film that sets up for the trilogy, I was like so full. Like Snoke in this, I love. Like
Yeah,
I'm like, man, he's ominous. This
Yeah.
room, this like, is he a giant? Like, who knows?
Mm,
But
yes.
mm,
like, he's
There was so much
oh
speculation about what is he.
yeah,
yeah.
and and that's the thing. Like, people were like, oh, this is how like he was able to influence Kylo Ren from like planets and planets away. Like he's this giant being on this planet or something, and just super menacing. His theme song's really cool, like the deep humming. It's
Mm.
like, oh, oh man, that breaks my heart. Like I almost want to watch this film and then just never watch the others.
Just leave it there.
Pretend like what could have been. But
Yeah.
I can't believe they only made one sequel. They
like
stopped at 7.
so much stuff in this film. Like I feel like the very opening, like the opening shot of the stormtroopers on the shuttle, and like the lights are
Yeah.
flickering,
Yep.
and it looks so cool. I remember sitting in the cinema because like we my wife and I drove up to a different state to go watch this in gold class. It was the first time we had our son looked after because he was born a few months previous, and this was like our first movie night, and I was so excited. Opening scroll, you know, it starts with like Luke Skywalker has vanished, and I was like, oh man, like
Such a good
goosebumps.
line.
The opening shot of the stormtroopers on the shuttle, goosebumps again. I got like tears in my eyes when the old guy says like, oh, this will begin to make things right, and like it's
Max
like a
von
perfect,
Sydow, Titan of
exactly.
cinema, like, oh, so
And it's
good.
like, yes, this will begin to make things right after the prequel trilogy. I can't wait for it. Ah, so much
There is
promise.
there is a lot of, like, meta comments like that in all these films.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
bits. It's like there's a lot of winking to the audience, which is kind of fun, but, you know, sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
I don't think it ever does it.
Not
It's
like
silly, but it doesn't.
if you're
No.
someone just watching Star Wars for the first time, it's not something that like, oh, I wonder what that means, or you know, like it's
Yeah.
just it all plays into it. I feel like even like the opening scene of the stormtroopers, they come out and start shooting people and hitting them.
Yeah.
Like they're taking out everybody. They're taking out
It's
the
like,
ships. Like they take out Poe. Like they're actually doing their job, and it's like, what?
Stuff's
What's going
changed.
on?
The opening's
Yep.
such a good like introduction to the characters too. Like Kylo stopping that blaster bolt. Like I've never been
Amazing.
more impressed by a Sith than that. I'm like, this dude is
Yep.
so freaking powerful. What are they gonna do? Poe, like just having big Han energy the whole time, like just
Yeah,
giving this real levity to the scene. It was just like chef's kiss, so good.
Oscar Isaac is so
He
freaking
is,
good in
he's
this,
so good.
man.
And
Like,
like just getting that inside of Finn, like they put the bloody hand on
the
his
blood
face,
hand on the helmet,
and
like
just seeing the trying to see the crisis he's having behind that mask. Oh, such a good opening.
and it works
yeah,
so good too. Like just
yeah.
that blood, that's it. And like you just instantly recognize it. You can tell what's going on.
Mm,
Yep.
But I love how it's sort of like the opening movie, like it introduces each like the four main characters. One to like, you know, like here's Ray doing this,
yeah,
Finn's thing, Poe's introduction, and Kylo Ren. Like you said, stopping that laser is still like one of the most coolest things.
yeah,
And the fact that it just stays there while he has
Yeah.
a conversation with someone,
Yeah.
walks away, hops on a ship, and then it flies out like and continues. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so
That's great.
that's yeah,
E
powerful.
even how he marches off the ship, like, rewatching I remember when we watched it the first time, we were all, like, breaking down every part of his character, and they did it again this time. Just the way he walks out is so different to our Darth Vader, who just Darth Vader's kind of glides, right? He's rigid, he's upright, he's so menacing that he almost seems unhuman. Whereas this little kind of scrawny dude, like, paces out, and he's kinda, like, hunched over a little bit, and you can tell he's, like, writhing with energy. It's like it just
And anger. It's just
yeah.
like
mm,
he's
It's like, oh,
determined.
this dude is someone else. He's like I say, he's familiar enough to be the Vader of this trilogy, but at the same time, he's a whole different character. And just
mm.
And
God, geez, they do well.
he looks so like I love Kylo Ren's helmet with the hood and everything
Mm,
on. Like I think I'm like that's a badass look.
Yep.
yep.
But yeah. Oh man.
And great cast choices. Like again, Adam Driver is awesome in all of them.
Yep.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac, like fantastic. Daisy Ridley, I think. I know a lot of people don't like it because they see her as a bit of a Mary Sue, but I think she's fantastic in this. Like John Boyega, great as well.
Mm.
Just yeah, really good casting. Really like hit it right on where they needed it to.
Yeah. What's the name of the main the Hitler? He's not Hitler, but
Domhnall
General
Don't
Hux.
Gleeson.
don't like I really enjoy him. Like especially that
So
that
good.
speech at the end. Like he's just it's very ominous. Like
Yep.
they
It's
set up the
so
First Order really well as being like this. Holy crap! This is a well organized empire. Like they're hitting their shots. Like this is scary.
Yep.
such Nazi Germany imagery,
Yeah.
like when they blow up them planets. And his speech, man,
Yeah.
powerful. He's like shedding a tear, like it's
Yeah.
like it's beautiful. It's so good, man. It's like gives me goosebumps
Yeah.
like when he's making the speech. I love the rivalry between Kylo and Hux as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even just like Hux's little glance at him when he leaves Snoke's room and like has a smirk at him, like, nah, like, you know, I'm his favorite pet or whatever for now.
Yeah.
But
Because
I
again,
love it.
it elaborates on that sort of tension from the original trilogy, right? Where they're always kind of disregarding Vader and they're like, oh, sorcerers and old
Yeah.
witchcraft. And then Vader's always just like, I could crush any of you at one point. It's just another good sort of, it kind of repeats that cycle of how once they're in power, the Sith are no longer important. It's really cool to sort of see that dynamic
Yep.
perpetuated again. And like it's expanded a lot here. Obviously, Domhnall or General Hux goes on to have a whole arc, which is kind of fun.
Mm.
Yeah, it's good.
And then they
I
start
f-
bringing back the nostalgia. Like they, I don't want to get on that old crappy ship, and then it's the, it's the Millennium Falcon, and
it's
then
garbage. Like the
yeah,
garbage will do. And then just the reveal of Millennium Falcon, the old theme kicks in, and it's just like, oh man, like pure joy. Like it's just I love this so much.
Yeah, was it Chewie? We're home. What a
yeah,
line.
Yeah. It just I remember when the first trailer came out and like that reveal of him and Chewie walking on the thing and
yep,
saying that, it just gave me goosebumps. Like it's so cool to see him back. As much as he doesn't care about Star Wars and he doesn't really care about anything these days, I really love his performance in Force
Yeah,
Awakens. Like I really, really
He-
enjoy him in this.
he's still a good actor. Like it's
Yeah.
as sad as
he
sad
could
as it is.
act.
Like him and Alec Guinness, like not caring about Star Wars, not really enjoying it. They still know what they're doing on the set. Like
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah, they're professionals, right?
Yeah,
They're not babies. They're not going to complain about it. They're going to do their job well. They just don't want to talk about it over coffee.
Is it just me, or is like I feel like this movie nails comedy better than any other Star Wars film? Like I remember the first time I watched this, like constantly laughing, like just little stuff like I love Finn being like, oh, what is it? I wrote it down like, oh, I'm with the resistance, and she's like, oh, I've never met one before, and he's like, well, this is what we look like. Some of us, others look different. The little stuff like the BB-8 thumbs up and like the
Yeah, the
thing
thumbs up
between,
yeah,
lighters.
like it's
Yeah.
been destroyed obviously over time with me and stuff like that. But like I remember just cracking up, like BB-8 and him, Kylo losing his shit and chucking tantrums all the time. The
yeah.
Stormtrooper's like walking in and walking away again, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He's just, and that's what I love about Kylo Ren as well, as opposed to Vader. Like he's emotional. Like he's
Mm.
just like
Mm,
he loses his shit and like chucks a tantrum and starts, and he's unpredictable like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
I think Kylo Ren's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both of the Abrams ones, like the episode 9 as well, has a lot of comedy. Like I
Yeah,
really enjoy in 9. I enjoyed like the banter between Finn and Poe a lot more because obviously they're better
yeah,
friends now.
yeah.
And it's
yep,
still got a lot of really good comedic delivery. I think Abrams just does it really well. He's got a good eye for it. I mean, in all of his stuff, he's always been aware of like when you need to bring in levity.
Yep.
Wait till we talk about the comedy in Last Jedi.
Just don't give me, don't get me started.
um, but like I don't know, I like Grant touched on earlier. I love the whole aspect of like him feeling like the pull to the light. I think that's like the coolest thing. We'd never heard that really before, or
No.
maybe like in
No.
alternate universe canons or whatever. But like him being like, I'm struggling. Like I feel like I'm being pulled to the light side. It's such a cool arc. Like especially to be
Yeah.
Han Solo's son and Darth Vader's grandson, and like having this thing where he worships Vader, and it's brilliant. I love it.
That glimmer
It
of
is.
hope before they kill him too. It's just like,
Oh
Yeah.
man,
that
the
hits you
lighting,
hard.
the lighting in that room as well. Like it's perfect when it changes.
And again,
Um,
really sort of mirrors the Empire moment between Vader and Luke with that
Mm,
sort of revelation. It's not the same revelation, but it just has that same sort of aesthetic design. It's like that's good. You guys know exactly what I'm wanting from this stuff.
yep.
yep. And like that's the thing. You can't fault this film for what the other films don't deliver, because like I feel like
No.
even the stuff like with Mars Kanata and like Ray has the flashbacks, and there's like the scene of the Knights of the Ren, like Knights of Ren in the rain, all this stuff where it's like, oh, who are her parents? Like all that. I remember being like, oh my god, like what is happening? Like what is
Yeah.
this mystery going on? You hear
Mm.
Obi-Wan's voice, like you hear Ewan McGregor be like, Ray, these are your first steps. I'm like, is she a Kenobi? Like I don't know what's going on. It's like
Yeah.
such
Those are all the
cool
questions, right? Everyone was trying to figure it
Yeah.
out.
questions.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I I think you can hold, like, it does tarnish this movie a little though. Like I think it's okay to feel that way because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you enjoy this movie so much more because you enjoy the original trilogy, right? Like these movies
Yeah.
aren't as strong as just, like, particularly Force Awakens isn't as strong on in a bubble, right? Like
Yeah.
it's stronger because of its relationship to the original trilogy, but it's weaker because of its relationship with the rest of its own trilogy, in my opinion. Like I still love this movie, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
every time there's those little reveals, those little tidbits of what I was hoping to get out of the rest of the trilogy that they don't deliver on, it
Yeah.
hurts. It sucks.
It It definitely makes rewatches and thinking about it a bit more painful
Mm,
because you keep saying, yeah, like where this could have gone. You go, oh, here were some cool ideas. Here's all the potential, and knowing where it goes, it does make for a lesser experience. You're right. Um,
Man, I used to lie awake at night thinking what could happen. I used to be like, "Oh, what's gonna happen in the next one? What could possibly this mean? Who is Snoke? Is he a giant? I can't wait to
yeah,
find out." Um, like I the arrival of the X-wings in that scene, like right after they're getting captured at Maz Kanata's palace as well. And it's like our first shot of the X-wings and like Dameron arrives, and it's like just them flying in above the water. It's like oh, so cool. I love it.
it
I
is.
could just gush about these films.
yeah. We're talking about a bit the visuals. Like we haven't really talked about Ray much. Ray's whole opening stuff on Jakku is some of the most like strikingly beautiful visual stuff. Like her in the ship climbing
Yep.
around, and some of the shots in there, every time I watch it, I'm like, "Holy crap, that looks good."
Mm,
Like,
Yep.
just the perspective and just how enormous these vessels are and how tiny she is. And obviously, all that sort of contrast with Tatooine 2.0, but it's still just it's cool. You see the Jawas again, you see everyone, you see all the again, the familiar stuff, like and you see her with the helmet. She's
yeah.
got that
Yep.
old helmet on.
The X-wing helmet. Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
love like I love that visual side of like the Star Destroyer just in the sand, like these remnants of this old war that was like happened, 40, 30 years ago, or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Awesome.
Um Man, when I first watched this and like watching it again, like I kept being like, I really always thought that like she was Han's daughter and like Kylo and her were siblings. I thought that was what the whole thing was gonna be. Like the way Han takes her under his wing, obviously it'd be shitty of him to just abandon her on Jakku or whatever. But like if like it feels like, the way she's good with the Millennium Falcon like he is and all this sort of stuff. I remember like thinking if that's where they were gonna go or not, but
And it
yeah.
feels natural being, mirroring the Luke Leia thing, that
Yeah.
his franchise's Luke would be brother, sister of, Kylo Ren. But, I'm glad they didn't do that. Like, I like the fact that
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, yeah, I
yeah.
like it now, but
do
I
you
just remember
do you like
originally.
I mean, we probably should get to this later, but do you like the fact that she's a Palpatine?
I'm okay. I've made peace with it. Like, again, this is a weird choice, right? It's kind of hard to even analyze that choice or because it's a choice made of this desperate situation where it's like, what do we do in the wake of
Yeah.
episode 8? And
Yeah.
it's like we'll definitely talk about this a lot with that. I don't hate it. And I think we are talking about in the other with the prequels, there's proper canon where Palpatine like force impregnated Anakin's mother, so that's how his relationship works or
Yeah.
something. Like,
But then
if that's
if
canon,
that's the case, Kylo Ren is Anakin's
They're related, you
grandson.
reckon?
If Darth Sidious is the parent of Anakin because he force impregnated
I mean
Anakin, that's a relation.
they're cousins anyway, right?
Yeah. There's some blood there.
This whole
Because
planet,
look at
this whole bloodline is very
Universe.
yeah,
incestuous. Yeah.
yeah, and like I'm okay with this. All right, it's a weird world. There's fish aliens who are probably getting it on with humans. I don't know how that's working. Like, I'm okay with this weird sort of, force impregnation babies not being incest.
Um I I really like the scene of Ray like resisting Kylo's like thing. Like he unmasks for the first time in that scene, and you can see him just be like, "What the hell? Like, why can't I break your mind? Like,
Mm.
you're nobody. Like, what the hell's going on?" And the Daniel Craig Staunter as well, where she uses the Force, and yeah, that's great.
Does she like level up too fast though? Is she like
Oh, yeah, good
there's a
question.
lot of power creep there because she's basically as strong as Luke in the first movie without any training.
Yeah, that's the question. Is she a Mary Sue, right? That's where all the hate for this film and for this general franchise is thrown at. Like, what do
Dude,
you guys take from that?
she's Palpatine's granddaughter.
There it
Unlimited
is.
power.
Well, I do get that feeling a bit like she is very quickly just equipped for everything, and
Yeah,
it's a bit you compare Luke's, like, gradual growth and even how crappy he is still in the last, Return of the Jedi.
yeah.
Nearly gets eaten by a Rancor, the dweeb.
yeah,
But I know I also don't wanna have that same arc. You kind of it feels natural, right, to have the there's always that idea of their predecessors, the strongest ones from here, and blah blah blah. I'm okay with the idea of like the next generation being stronger again, and
It's probably only the like the Force persuasion that annoys me, because that like she just does that out of nowhere. There's no reason she would know how to do that. Like it's at the end when she's fighting Kylo and he's injured. Like
That's
that's
understand. I
really
don't
cool.
have a
Like where
problem
he's
with
like
that.
hitting himself and like pumping
it's
himself
awesome.
up.
So
Like that
good.
scene's
Basically,
so
using
good.
the Force to keep his guts inside his
His
stomach.
insides.
Because I love
Amazing.
that. We'll get to that scene in a second, but like the fact that they constantly show how powerful Chewie's gun is, like it
Mm.
like blows stormtroopers 10 meters back and breaks their armor. And he got hit, like a direct hit in
Yeah.
like in the stomach. And he's just like punching himself and like holding it in.
Yeah.
Takes out Finn, you know, and then has that fight with Rey. Like I don't have a problem with her beating him.
No,
Yeah,
in that
It
situation,
makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I get the Force persuasion bit, but it's fun. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it is, I
And
guess.
I guess you're also, I guess, under the idea that she's like, whereas Luke was just kind of a sheltered farm boy, she is like a survivor, right? She's been on her own for however long. She's there probably could have been some more moments of her doing cool backdoor shenanigans, but you just
But
kind
I
of get
mean,
the impression she knows how to survive in any situation. She's adaptive,
Mm.
like
so she can kind of figure this
one
stuff
of
out.
one of her first scenes, like Finn runs to save her because she's getting ganged up by 3 people, and she takes them out, like with her staff. Like he goes to save her, and she saves herself. Like
Yep.
Yep.
she's obviously, you know, scrappy and does that. While Luke's a dweeb in the first one that just wants to go to Toshi Station and pick up some power converters.
Oh yeah, because how good would that be? Those power
But
converters, man.
man, like the Han Solo scene, like with Kylo Ren, like you touched on it, that's heartbreaking. I love how he walks up and the way he yells Ben as well. Like it's
Got
really
that echo.
powerful. Yeah. And it's just this big cavernous void in the middle of the room, and he meets him there in the middle. Chewie's reaction to it is heartbreaking as well, like
Yep.
him watching it. The only thing in this film that pisses me off is that Leia doesn't comfort Chewie. She walks past Chewie at the end and comforts Rey. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Chewie just walks past her like depressed, and she like walks past to hug Rey. I'm like, I get Rey's the new star, but like, man, come on, poor Chewie.
I had the same thought.
Chewie needs some love.
Chewie has been like with this guy for 50 years. What the hell, Leia?
I love the
Whoa.
scene with Chewie and the nurse, where she's like, "Wow, you must have been really brave." And he's like, oh, it's
It's like she's
great, like a
talking to a
little kid.
child, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's really good.
it's great. What do you guys think of Kylo Ren's lightsaber?
Love
We
it.
talked about the other guys.
Yeah, it's so
It's
freaking
great.
cool.
I love that it's like all handcrafted and like unstable and just like flicking shit off and
Again, it's a brilliant bit of character, right? Because he's made this himself. He hasn't sort of like earned it, passed down or whatever. He's trying to become this Jedi character, this Sith character. And so he's made his own lightsaber. It's unstable. It's just got the coolest sound effect. Every fight with him is just,
yep.
it's got that like real, like a car, you know, like your crappy old Mazda that doesn't quite run properly. But if
Yep.
you rev it fast enough, it sounds awesome. It's just got that energy to it the whole time. And
But it has weight like a claymore. Like
I mean, all the fights in this are
so good.
phenomenal.
So good.
So the best lightsaber fights, like
Easy.
100%. Like just yeah, the weight to it, like each of them strikes feels like, oh damn, like this could
Yeah.
cut you in half, basically.
Especially when you see Finn and Rey using it, and Finn doesn't quite know what's happening. Like he's swinging it massively, and things just like bounce off.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
really feel like it's this dude who's just been handed, like you said, a claymore, and
Yeah.
he's just like 50 kilos just flying into it, and he's trying to figure it out. It's so good to see this compared to the oddly graceful fights in the prequels.
They've
Like,
definitely lost their grace over the years. These
yeah,
guys. They're
no one's dancing anymore to fight.
going back to the medieval days, just swinging the swords around. So you guys like the little claymore, the 2 little lasers on the side?
The hill, yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's cool. I don't know if it's practical, but
I
it's
just
cool.
remember
I
there
feel like
being,
he could cut his hand off.
when they first revealed it, I remember the internet was just like wild with speculation about like how it worked and what the point of it was,
Yeah.
and how is he not injuring himself.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's my thought with every lightsaber. Like the amount of twirls and stuff you would do.
yeah.
You're gonna cut a limb off somewhere. And so you know, that's just what he does.
I don't know. This is Star Wars. You don't want people losing their limbs and hands.
No, but that's what I'm in every fight, the amount of twirling and like lightsabers that get thrown around and like dropped and then retrieved. Like if these things are as sort of light as they're meant to, I think in the lore they're pretty light, right? They're energy swords, so it's not like an actual claymore.
Mm.
Like point is you would be slipping up a lot with that when there's no sort of, because my understanding is Jedi's can use them because the Force helps them control it, right?
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
understanding too. Yeah.
And so if you don't have it, you can't figure out how to wield it because it's not natural. It's so light and weird. So
Yeah.
any of these people who touch them would just be cutting themselves in half. So I'm cool with the
Yeah.
idea that Kylo just has Force magic. Like there's lots of Force magic.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I love it. Like, it's such a cool lightsaber. It makes me wish there was more lightsaber variation instead of every other lightsaber in this being the same lightsabers we had since basically the start of the journey.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
want Rey to make a cool lightsaber. Like, let her get that yellow lightsaber that has double. Like, why does she
Yeah.
not have some
How
sort of
she
bow
does not have
staff?
double when she has the staff in
It
the whole first
makes
one blows my mind.
zero sense. Anyway,
Yeah.
one last thing I want to touch on for the first movie, Phasma, huge in the marketing, introduced early on,
Mm.
obviously.
Toys.
I can't think of the character, the actress's name, but big in Game
Gwendolyn
of Thrones,
Christie.
Gwendolyn
Yeah.
Christie. So, obviously, very wasted in this movie. What do you think was the plan with her? Do you think she was supposed to go on to do bigger
Come back.
things? Yeah.
I
100%.
don't know.
Like, here's the thing. I remember, like, a Chrome Stormtrooper is so cool. Like, how have they not done that yet? It looks so cool on the posters and everything. And I remember watching it when she just gets like owned and just chucked in a trash
Yeah.
can. Things sort of. I'm like, oh, okay. And like, this is totally going to be Boba Fett, low. Like, but she'll come back. She didn't do much in this one, but it's totally just like an in joke that this is Boba Fett, the cool costume character. Come back in the second and then the third one, and like it'll be cooler. But it didn't really work out like that.
Lots of things didn't pan out.
No.
Shall we move on to where things stop panning out?
One other question though. Is BB-8, is he the best droid in any Star Wars film?
I mean,
He's very good.
personality-wise, he's like R2D2 is obviously classic and you love him, but it's not like R2D2 does something and you're like, ha, classic R2D2. Like it's
Every time
I
I
love BB-8.
BB-8's amazing. I watch this and I think R2D2 is rubbish. R2D2 is a big pilot, is a literal trash can. BB-8 is small and charming and just and like
Agile.
I said, you get lots of good humor and personality from this little robot that's just two balls. I've never understood it with R2. R2 has no personality. All he does is beeps and screams.
And he moves really stiff, like
Yeah, it's just not fun. I've never understood any sort of interest or magic with it.
I like
BB-8 is
I like
so
R2.
cool.
R2 feels like the loyal puppy that's just always there, always, sticking his head out when he putting himself in danger's way when he needs to. Like he's always there. What about K2SO? As much as I don't love Rogue One, I think K2SO is pretty good.
He's hilarious. Alan Tudyk
is really good.
Nah, I hated that character.
Did you?
What?
Yeah. I can't agree with you there.
But yeah, like even the scene we touched on earlier with like the thumbs up, but like that scene where he's like his head's constantly moving, like looking back at Ray and Finn, like like something's going. There's so much more personality with what they can do with this little thing, and it's great. Like one thing I did have it in my notes, so just again, this film looks so good. Like the CGI is great, but they go back to practical effects.
Yeah.
Like you have these, it's like the camel dude carrying all the stuff in like at Jakku at the start. You have the big pig thing drinking out of the trough that Finn goes to. It's like, it feels like the original Star Wars again without any interruption.
The bread, Ray's bread, real apparently. I don't know how they did it, but it was real. Like it wasn't CGI. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yeah. It's like again, I'm not sure how, but it was like they used practical effects for that.
It was in reverse. That's what it was.
I want that.
That raises more questions.
It'll be even harder.
Yeah,
Alright.
it's awesome.
Let's move on.
The Last Jedi. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Jedi Master in hiding, Luke Skywalker unwillingly attempts to guide young hopeful Rey in the ways of the Force, while Leia, former princess turned general, attempts to lead what is left of the Resistance away from the ruthless, tyrannical grip of the First Order. Having trouble speaking this evening. Oh, maybe I don't want to talk about this. Maybe that's the problem.
I have a quote here from Mark Hamill that I think sums up everyone's problem.
Man, Mark Hamill does not hide about this movie.
No, he doesn't.
He said, and I quote, "I pretty much fundamentally disagree with every choice you've made, you being Rian Johnson or Ryan Johnson, however you pronounce it. Now, having said that, I've got it off my chest and my job is to take what you've created and do my best to realize your vision." Ain't that everything wrong with this film? Subversion for the sake of subversion. Get out. You don't need Star Wars to be you don't need to kill the past if you have to, just to say, look, we're something new now. Star Wars works for a reason. There's value in exploring the other stuff outside of this in cartoons and books of Boba Fett's and all that crap. The movies are something else altogether. When you try to destroy that, like, I'm not even a big fan of Star Wars, and I take this personally.
Yeah.
It frustrates me to no end that this guy comes and says, no, Star Wars needs to change because it's outdated. It's campy and weird and all that stuff's, silly. Good and evil, light and dark. We don't need that. What we need is bad jokes with ironing and nonsense subplots involving like commentaries
Bad
on,
characters.
and commentary on I don't even like the armory war, like the economy around this and how good and evil don't. It's no, piss off.
I was
I was
so
worried you
looking forward
guys
to
were
this
going to
film.
like this movie because I know you like Ryan Johnson, but
love
Oh,
him.
really?
Like even from the opening, like we were talking in the last movie about how much we enjoy Hux, and then straight away he's getting caught in
Comedy.
this stupid, like it's not even funny comedy, like he's pretending to be on hold and not being able to hear him, and it's just this awkward exchange between him and Poe. It
Yep.
just starts it off. It's just the worst tone.
First scene to just be
Yeah.
like, he's not that cool Nazi general. Like, not that Nazi generals are cool, but like, this fearsome, like,
Ominous
general.
guy, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you felt like this dude's fucking dark. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, and this one, he's just a joke, like, complete joke from the very start. So
all of his stuff is played for comedic relief, and
yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we saw this in the cinema. Obviously, it was packed out, and I just remember the awkward laughter because everyone's like, because the first time it happens, like, okay, sure, maybe they'll go, but then you do it again, and it's like, and everyone's
for
kind of
too long.
realizing, are we watching a spoof or something?
Yeah.
And I just from then on, I think that brought the mood in the room down a notch.
Yeah.
Like, compare this to the opening scene of the Stormtroopers and Kylo Ren on Jakku. It's just like to start with this bad joke, not even a good joke. Like,
chalk and
it's
cheese.
just, yeah.
Or even Poe standing up to Kylo, and like it's really quite funny there. Like there's a lot of levity to that scene, even, but it's just not like it's not here. Like it just doesn't work the same. I don't like.
The comparison would be if he's like, who talks first, and Kylo Ren's like, wait, do I talk first? Like he doesn't respond back. He's like, stop fucking joking. I'm gonna, take this seriously.
Kylo Ren's not. They don't make Kylo Ren stupid enough to fall into that trap. Whereas Hux, this guy giving this tearful speech earlier is now not
Can
understanding.
He hear me? It's just
bad.
What do you guys think of the bombing sequence?
How do bombers work in space?
There's so much about that doesn't make any sense. Like they've got the doors open. She's like she doesn't have a gas mask. Like she doesn't have oxygen on or anything like that. She's still there's no vacuum in this.
The laws
there's no
are
gravity.
gone.
It doesn't make any sense.
The laws are gone.
These are spaceships that shoot lasers and can blow up. We've seen planet destroying technology. Why the hell do you have these slow ships that have to drop 1,000 bombs?
They wipe all of themselves out before they even get there. Like
that's what I mean. They're so slow and just useless. It's like one stray laser and it's done. I'm like, that's the worst idea.
The whole fleet's gone. Like,
they look cool, right? And the rows of bombs look cool. And that's kind of the whole thing. My takeaway from the film on this rewatch, it's a really bad story, but it's told well. And what I mean by that is Ryan Johnson's got a great visual, probably the best visual style out of him and Abrams. Like this film's got a lot of amazing visuals. And I think he's still he can pace the story pretty well. He's got that good, he throws little bits of you see his detective work where he keeps going back to the Luke shows his point of view about what happens between him and Kylo.
I like that.
And then Kylo shows his point of view. And so you can see that's kind of that mystery unraveling. So it's told really well. It's just a shame that he's telling a really dumb story that shouldn't be told.
Luke throwing the lightsaber away. Obviously, it's
my note was just like, this is how Ryan Johnson feels about everything that was set up before this movie. It's just like
exactly
it's
symbolically throwing it away, and it's like that's why this trilogy is ruined because then the next one is throwing away everything this one does. Luke catching a lightsaber, you should treat it with more respect. Like it's like shots, like directors taking shots at each other.
Yeah.
It's
It
just
boggles my mind that after the success Disney had with Marvel in having like Kevin Feige over the head of all of it, overseeing everything that's happening, knowing where the plot lines are going, having a vision for the whole thing, to then give these movies to two different people, but split it up in such a way that they have complete creative control over their own projects and not have like an overarching vision, even just for this trilogy. Like it's bad enough that
yeah.
Solo and Rogue One also don't feel like they fit in all that well, but
Yeah.
it's just I don't understand what they were thinking. Like they've done this
Doesn't
before
make
and done it well.
any sense.
No.
It boggles my mind that I mean maybe J.J. Abrams didn't want to do it, but why wasn't he in charge of the whole thing, even if he didn't direct every movie?
No, on your point, like they cared about it so much, they brought back the original writer. They brought back Lawrence Kasdan.
Mm.
Like, okay, we need to make this movie good. So they had, like you say, they had all this insight into it. So it wasn't like they just gave it to JJ. They gave it to this team, like, you guys need to make a good Star Wars film. They always
Yeah.
plan to break it up. They plan to give it to different directors. And I kind of see the reasoning, because again, Irvin Kershner directed Empire and it's the best one. And so you sort of see how maybe they're like, oh, we did this before and it worked. We don't want to have the George Lucas thing of the prequels where it's one guy doing the whole trilogy.
Mm.
Yeah.
I can understand that sort of thought process. I don't understand just being like, this is Ryan's movie now.
He has
Only-
complete creative
yeah.
control. Like
Only he's right. There's no involvement here.
it feels
Yeah.
so disjointed.
It's such a strange choice.
Like like Snoke, gold member Snoke in his little gold outfit. What's your thoughts on Snoke in this
I
film?
mean, that room is sick. Just this
It's a
red
cool room. It's
Again,
a cool
like
room visually.
great visuals. Snoke himself, terrible.
Yeah.
I
Because
don't
again,
even mind him being normal sized. I don't even mind that. Like I can see this thing of him projecting this massive hologram because of, some insecurity he has or something like that. But like, I don't know, and the way he's taken out is
Yeah.
just like, he's such a goober. Like he narrates his own death. Like,
It's-
oh, I can feel him turning the lights. It's like, oh man, poor Andy Serkis. What's going on?
yeah,
They-
there you go.
I was going to say they make good on. There's been this theory a long time in the Star Wars community about like why does nobody use the igniting of the lightsaber to kill someone, because it feels like such a good move to like de-ignite it and then ignite it into somebody, and it never happens. And they make good on that in this movie, but they do it. They just do it at the wrong time. I think like Snoke
Yeah.
should have been more ominous and more threatening and more powerful. It just makes
Yeah.
no sense that he's just so weak and frail. Especially when
But-
he's controlling Kylo from across the freaking galaxy. Like,
Yeah.
he's obviously
And that's the thing,
powerful.
he's throwing Ray around like he's powerful. He's just stupid in this.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's just I don't get it.
Again, it's a subversion. It's just to make
exactly.
you to not expect that, and
That's
you
not
don't need
a
that
good enough
bad.
reason to do things, though. I don't think.
No.
Not
Yeah,
over
you
and
can't
over
just-
again.
No, correct.
I do like him being. I like the speech when he's talking to Kylo and he's like, "Take that ridiculous thing off." Like, stop.
That's pretty-
And then Kylo smashes the helmet. And this film, obviously, he doesn't wear the helmet at all.
Yeah.
And then in the next one, he patches it back up again because J.J. Abrams is back. He's like, "Where's the helmet I created?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
But again,
But
it's perfect for his character too, right? When he has the
Yeah.
helmet. Those guards in Snoke's room.
the palace guards are cool.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong here, but is Ryan Johnson just a massive Bloodborne fan?
I think
Because
so.
every time I watch it, I'm like, they're literally using Bloodborne weapons. They've got a blade that detaches into two and reattaches. Like it's
Yep.
taken directly from it. It's great.
I had the same note. It was in for the next movie, but like the Knights of Ren all look like the knights in Dark Souls. Like they've all got these specific weapons and they've all got the same
Yeah.
looking armor. It's
Oh,
I don't know. It
well,
feels inspired by that. It probably isn't, but
I wouldn't be surprised if Johnson.
JJ's a big gaming fan.
mm,
Yeah.
Like he's a massive gaming fan. Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some inspiration from it. It really, there's a lot of things that really do feel like it.
So
Um,
Luke Skywalker, Griner, what's your opinion on Luke Skywalker in this film? And his journey goes on from drinking green milk and
drinking
all
the
this
titty
sort of
milk.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's drinking straight from the teat when there's no one else there, right? Like,
100%.
nobody's putting that in the bottle. What's the point?
it's
But
the closest thing to intimacy.
I don't hate every part of it. Like, is this where they burn the books Is that in this
That's right
film?
at
the end of this, yeah.
So like, I don't mind that. I don't mind the whole opinion of like
The Jedi need
the,
to end,
the
or
Jedi
like
need to end. Yeah, and that the Force being only for Jedi and Sith is kind of silly because I don't think that's a bad idea to explore. But Luke as a whole, as a character, especially when there's so much build up from the first film, and then for this whole film, he's like, he throws away the lightsaber. He doesn't want to have anything to do with Rey. He's drinking titty
he's
milk.
not Luke. He's not Luke
He's
Skywalker.
he's
Yoda, right?
he is. You're right. He's 100% Yoda. But then at the end, where he appears as a hologram and doesn't, I hate that. I really hate that. Where he doesn't. Just annoys me.
We'll get to that. Okay, so obviously during the making of this, Carrie Fisher passed away. Obviously.
Yes.
How did they not kill her off
Yes.
when she flies out of the ship? That's a perfect end.
Yes.
Great scene for Kylo that he hesitates, doesn't do it. The ship comes in next to him and blows it up. She flies out. Beautiful. You know,
it's criminal, right? It's
I know that's not how they wrote it when she died, but adjust, man. She's not needed. Like,
no, you watch the next film. Holy crap, she's not needed.
No, she totally could have replaced the character that flies the ship into the, like, does the purple haired, like the character that she's only in there for like 4 scenes. Like, that wouldn't have been a bad end for Leia as well, to like sacrifice herself to save everyone else.
Yep.
I just don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I know they
like. Just the visual of her flying back in after being out in space, frozen, and she uses like I can't see Luke doing that. I can't see Luke being blown out to space and hovering back to the ship, or Vader. Like, it feels so weird to see the first time we're seeing this power used to not suffocate in space is Leia, who we've never seen use the Force before. Like,
she's
an old lady, like suddenly blown out of the ship when she didn't know what was going on. Like, it's just.
Like I say, you think this would be that moment, like that eureka moment, and they'd be like, "That's it. We just rewrite it so that's her end. That's perfect. We don't have to worry about all the,
and nothing changes."
Yeah, the story's actually better for her because then you don't have that clunky, like, she turns up again with her head bandaged and whatever happens.
Oh, she's in a coma for the rest of the film anyway, and like, just it's
because it happens again later in one of the biggest criminal issues when Finn's arc is subverted, and a perfectly natural fate for him, nay, the best fate for his character, is undone for no reason.
Okay.
For no reason.
Well, Rose Tico. Now, first of all, we are not hating on the actress. Nobody should hate the actress. Kelly Marie Tran does not deserve any hate or anything like that. No. I won't say she's a great actress, especially in this role. I haven't seen her in other stuff. She might be. This character is a bad character.
Yeah.
And it's really, really bad. Like, the writing, I feel like the performance, obviously that has to do with the writing as well. Like, you can only do so much with what you got.
Yeah.
But like, from scene 1, I'm just like, like, and everything on the casino planet, which is like the worst. That's worse than all the prequels, as far as I'm concerned. I hate the casino planet.
I really do too. It really drives me nuts.
And it feels like a prequel scene.
Yeah,
like when I rewatch
it really does.
Like, it's got all the stupid wiener kids, and they're all
CGI
like
weird aliens,
like aliens, and like they're all just like these big fat slugs, like blah, 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 and it's like these slave children. It feels like he's really being like, look, here's a prequel scene, and I don't know if he's like this. He made it redundant to be like, just like the prequels, it's redundant. But it just feels so
Ryan Johnson's playing 4D chess, and we're just peasants here playing checkers. That's the problem.
I do wonder if he's so much smarter than these. Like, one day they'll appreciate the work. But the Canto Bight infuriates me.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so bad, and it's so long. There's so much of it.
Yeah,
like, it's 40 minutes of this film.
Yeah,
and it doesn't need to be there. If this was a 2-hour film without the casino shit, I don't know what you do with Finn, but something to do with Rey.
Anything else? Anything else? They even cut back to the kid at the end. Like, the final scene is the kid Force moving the broom. Why?
And slowly revealing the resistance ring as if it's like this big symbolism thing. It's like, bleh.
That's the thing for a guy who hates this, or not hates this franchise, but wants to sort of destroy it.
Yeah.
And make a new one. I don't know why he does that, because that really is kind of like this don't worry, guys. There's a future Star Wars generation, and it's just like you always remembered from Lucas's years. It's so nonsensical to me.
And how bad is the Mars Kanata scene? How they just explain, "Sorry, I'm very busy at the moment. Do. Can't make it there. I'm doing this, but there's someone on this planet. Bye." Like
That's
it
why
feels like
one,
so. Oh, we couldn't get her in for more than a day, so
yeah,
she's here for this scene to explain why she conveniently can't have anything to do with us. But
Yeah, and to explain why you need to go where you're going. Like, it,
yeah.
it's a video game cutscene. I don't know. Like
I still
it's
don't
like
even understand what the point of the code breaker was, what they were supposed to do. Like, the whole thing is just a MacGuffin.
It's
Like, did anyone else
it
think
is.
that the casino planet was where they were going to introduce Lando? That was the only reason I thought they were going there, is because that's where Lando would be hanging out, which kind of makes sense to me.
yep.
But
I didn't even think of that.
They
But
didn't do that. Apparently, Billy D. Williams was not available. Like, he was unwell for those movies, so maybe he was supposed to. But
We get a little alien dude burping in BB-8's face and shoving
yeah.
coins in him.
And then BB-8
And
later has like 1,000 of them.
1,000 of them
And
shooting guards with
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like the humor's not good in this one. Like
no, it's
No.
real Jar Jar energy where he's like beating guards with coins.
yeah,
it's slapstick. It's slapstick comedy in this one. I don't like Benicio del Toro is a great actor, obviously. I
Yeah.
don't like the stuttering.
I hate his
It,
No.
like
dumb stuttering
it's
performance.
like it doesn't feel natural. Like it feels like this thing he's putting on. I don't get what the character is. He has no resolution. Like he's just
It,
there and out. Like it's just
the betrayal is so not earned. Like, the whole thing
No.
just doesn't. Oh, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Like it's all there to make this point, right? That there's good and there's good in bad and there's bad in good. That guys are selling weapons to the good side and the bad. You can't just say you can't clean cut it because
Yeah,
it's all trying like the whole film is trying to dissect that and be like there's no such thing as good and bad. There's lines of gray. That's why the Jedi need to be destroyed, blah blah blah. But it's such a weird that's not you don't need this weird arc in this film. And it's also there to be like, look at the class disparity in the galaxy. It's like, what the hell is that doing in here?
it's so out of place.
like these
Like,
people profit off war. They're
yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
It's
And
like,
it's
well,
like
there's people out there blowing up planets. They're pretty horrible
listen,
too. Let's focus on them.
I've literally seen like planets, be just disintegrated. That's more of a concern right now than this rich dude on a casino. Like,
Yeah.
Conan, I bet I can guess your favorite line from this movie. I wish I could put my fist through this whole lousy, beautiful town.
I do like putting fists through things.
Oh man,
Oh,
it's just
Jesus.
it's and like the whole thing where like now it's worth it when she lets that last camel horse thing go. It's just like it's so cliche. It's so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Man, nothing feels earned. There's no chemistry between her and Finn.
No.
It like erases everything with Finn and Ray, I
Ray.
feel like.
Yeah.
Or Finn with Poe as well. There was something
Yeah.
brewing there. Like and then just oh man.
It's like,
Rose,
it's the most shoehorned romance I've ever seen. Where for
Yeah.
no reason would he like her, and for no reason should she like him either. And they're just like seriously, that ending again. The scene where he's flying into the cannon is beautiful,
Oh,
and the music kind of like goes a bit still, and you've got that moment where it's like this is a big thing. He's finally found something to fight for, and then somehow she's caught up from
and
this
it
side as well,
doesn't make any logical sense.
and just tackles him out of the way.
She
Oh,
shouldn't have been able to get there.
yeah,
No.
yeah,
She was way back. She
Yeah.
flies around, comes back, crashes into him at full force, somehow not killing him,
yeah,
taking
yeah.
herself out. And that quote actually, that's probably a favorite as well.
Look, they all make me want to vomit.
Oh man,
That
it's
planet
not.
is kind of beautiful though. Like, I really like the aesthetic
Yeah,
of like
it's
the
cool.
red and like the mining planet, and they're flying those things. Got to have the hooks dragging in the planet and like
Yeah,
it's so
kicking
cool.
up the red dust.
And it just
That's-
ends up like red everywhere. Like it's
Yeah.
just this big.
that's what I mean. Like Johnson's got that visual
Yeah.
flair down.
Yep.
It's such a good place, and again, that's a really good planet to do because it's similar enough to Hoth, but it's different enough to be fascinating to watch.
Yep.
And you've got the AT-AT like I don't know if they're the same thing or if they're different models, but again, it's all just the same sort of
A lot of
energy. The Hoth
similarities. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and a lot of good starts. Like I don't mind. I know, Grant, you said you don't like the Luke Kylo duel, or you just don't like that Luke projects himself.
It feels like such a cop out, don't you reckon?
No, it does. I mean, I like the fight itself. I think
Yeah,
the
the
fight,
fight's fun.
Especially since they just have him die anyway right afterwards and disappear.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do that, have him go there anyway and die in that fight and
Yep.
prove his thing like that, like Obi-Wan Kenobi did. Instead of just force projecting yourself there and then disappearing on your
just right
rock.
away.
Like it's just
The other thing that annoyed me in this movie is it felt like there was no travel time anywhere. Like, oh, we got to go to this casino planet. We're there. A second later, like there's no time pressure on anything anybody's doing. They've got plenty of time to fly to a casino planet, go do their thing, fly back. Like they could have, if they're going to play loosey goosey with those rules, it's fine for Luke to make it to that planet in time for that fight. Like it's not.
except of course the ship that's just running out of fuel for 2 hours of the film.
Yeah,
Just
that's
having
so.
pot shots taken at it.
Yeah,
That's definitely showing some time and
That's also so strange because her whole plan, right, is like I can't tell anyone that I'm trying to evacuate.
it could have avoided everything had she just told people the plan.
Why is she not telling anyone the plan?
yeah.
I don't like Holdo, man, because
No.
I feel like I kept being like, where was she earlier? Like, what scene have I missed, or where is this character from that I'm forgetting? Because they bring her in out of nowhere.
Yep.
I'm replacing Leia. Oh, classic Leia, like my dear friend. Like then her and Leia have like inside jokes, like I've said it enough for you. Like, oh god, do you remember the battle in '91? And it's like, who are you? And then
Yeah.
she gets the big dramatic death. As cool as it is,
It
the
Yeah.
Lightspeed
Into the
kamikaze
enemy,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
so cool. And
Yeah,
just the
it's
visual
awesome.
and sound effect of it, how everything splits, and then there's
Yep.
just that pause and then the big sound. Is such a cool visual. And like the palace fight after Snoke gets done dirty, like that's such a cool scene. With,
Like
the
the red
flames
fighters on the red background. Like it looks so
Yeah.
sick, yeah.
and
Yep.
even like again, we get the igniting to kill someone when Kylo catches the blade and
Yeah.
ignites it to the person behind him.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like them working together is so cool. Do you like the connection scenes between them, apart from the Ben Swallow scene?
Ben Swallow's the best.
Ben Swallow scene is the best scene, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like that's obvious, though. Yeah,
Like is this when thick became a cool word? Because I feel like it.
apparently, yeah.
That's the first time I heard it when they were
Yeah.
talking about Ben Swallow was thick, and it
Yep.
became it entered the vernacular.
I just love that comment though. Like right before you see him like that, she's like, "Now's not a good like now's not the right time," or like, "Not in the mood for this." And he's like, "Yeah, me neither." He's just like standing there, all swole, just like just pumping some irons. What's going on?
It's pretty great. It's weird. I don't mind it for their kind of character dynamic, especially
Yeah.
because they're never in the same spot.
Yep.
It raises a lot of questions of like, especially when you start to see he can grab stuff from her. Like,
Yep.
I do like that though. I like how he gets the rain on his hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or
like it's all really cool. I just spend the whole time being like, how does this work? Like, is it because he's also like, you can't see me, but I can, or you can't see my surrounds, but we as the audience do. And so I've just got
Yeah.
questions about what this like, how this works. Is it literally just like a portal, or is he just hallucinating? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very confusing, and I don't feel like they do a lot with it. But it is a nice way to allow them to like develop a relationship
dialogue.
without
Yeah.
without them being in the same place.
And it's pretty necessary in this, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the fact that like when Luke starts training Rey, she does like instantly turn to the dark. Kind of plays in with the whole Palpatine thing. Like she doesn't even resist it. Like as soon as she's like feeling the Force, like it's just straight into that hole. And he's just
Yeah.
like, Jesus. He's like, no, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
not
done.
good. But
Yeah. That is again, it's a nice mirror where Kylo's drawn to the light, she's drawn to the dark. It's
Yeah.
like there's so many good things in this film. There are so many good moments and good ideas, and just it makes me angrier and angrier. The one good thing, I guess, they redeem Yoda. They bring back Puppet Yoda.
yeah.
They make him the lovable rapscallion instead of the heavy-handed philosopher.
Page
in the-
turners, they were not. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
And just when he's like,
Yeah.
and he's like
it's
kicking
great.
his little legs. It's great.
He didn't pull a lightsaber out once and start flipping around
No.
and doing all this, which was great. I do like that he says like, "Oh, there's nothing in there that Rey doesn't already have because she stole all the books." And like you see them on the ship
Yeah.
later, like when they open the drawer and she's got all the books there. So she's
That's great.
taking them.
Yoda is just trolling Luke the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so obviously Finn and Rose get captured on that ship. 200 stormtroopers around them and Phasma. The lightspeed explosion happens. Everyone's dead except them two. Like Finn and Rose get up, the room's gone now. Like everyone's
Yeah.
gone in that room. It's like so bad. Like it's just like there's no explanation for it. And then Phasma comes out of another room. I don't like she walks into another room, like into the room dramatically. And I'm like, she was just there before the light speed explosion happened. Like what's I don't know.
There's some clunky editing stuff in that fight scene with the all the palace guards. There's this great moment where someone's like got a second. I can't remember exactly it, but there's like YouTube videos of it. Some guy's got a second blade free, and he could just kill Kylo instantly. But his arm disappears, and then like as he moves past him, so they've literally just edited out his arm.
So it wouldn't
that's
look obvious that he
yeah, like
killed
and
him.
there's a I've seen on there like it shows you it in slow mo, and this arm just disappears. It's like, oh okay, that's fine.
Bloody hell.
It's like the same with Phasma. It's like yeah, she was in another room, whatever. I don't care enough
Um,
about this movie to worry about continuity.
Mm.
like you touched on earlier, I really hate that Rose stops his suicide run, like the kamikaze thing at the end, because it's so good. Like it's such a powerful scene of him flying directly into it, this like heroic thing. And like then she says, like, you know, the what is it, not fighting what we hate, saving what we love.
Mm.
And then they somehow walk like 2 kilometers back to the base.
Get in
Like
there.
he drags her back in front of all the AT-ATs, and they
Yeah.
don't think to blow them up. It's just it doesn't make any logical sense. It's just
Nah.
I do love Kylo Ren being so annoyed when the Millennium Falcon flies in, and he's like, "Blow that piece of junk out of the sky." He like has some daddy issues, man. It's great. Ugh.
All right, shall we move on to the final film? Rise of
Yeah.
Skywalker. When the First Order continues to ravage the galaxy, Rey finalizes her training as a Jedi. But danger suddenly rises from the ashes as the evil Emperor Palpatine mysteriously returns from the dead. While working with Finn and Poe Dameron to fulfill a new mission, Rey will not only face Kylo Ren once more, but she'll also finally discover the truth about her parents, as well as a deadly secret that could determine her future and the fate of the ultimate showdown that is to come.
The dead speak.
Yeah,
What a sick crawl.
it's cool. It is cool.
Palpatine's back. His voiceover, like every line he delivers, is awesome.
Griner, what's your opinion on this movie?
I don't particularly like it. It's it's frustrating. Like it stems from them having to undo. I feel like what was done in number 2. Like I feel like there's a lot of work trying to
100%.
do that, and it just feels messy and dirty. I don't like them producing all these what are they, Star Destroyers out of
Yeah,
nowhere like this. Like isn't
hundreds of them.
it enough just for it to be like a planet harboring Sith that's well defended? Do they need to have? I don't know. Star Wars has always had this world-ending issue. Like,
Yeah.
do we do another Death Star? I don't know. There's got to
I
be a
mean,
better way to write it, though. I feel like.
we didn't even talk about that in Force Awakens, where they just got Death Star 2.0, and it's like this time it destroys planets. Is like
Just
I
goes
like Star
whole-
Killer Base. It's,
What's that?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
it's
hold
cool
on.
cool.
how it
But it's like
splits
they
out
do
and
that.
destroys
There's that
everyone.
scene, the Death Star, and it's like a marble, and he's like, "This is Star Killer Base." And it's
Yeah.
like,
It's
how,
the Mega Death Star.
like how big can these things get?
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like this movie. I must admit.
Really?
I feel frustrated by a lot of things that we'll get to.
So do I, but like I remember watching it and being like, "Oh man, that's better than Last Jedi." Like I'm
Yeah,
so glad.
same.
And like I find a lot of the humor hits in this. I feel like this is one of the funniest Star Wars films.
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's a
humor.
lot
Yeah.
of good stuff. I feel like this is easily C-3PO's best film. Like the comedy with
Yeah.
C-3PO is great in this. I feel like just every line he has just had me like cracking up.
We didn't
And he
talk
gets
about him
that
in the
great.
Force Awakens, but he's pretty good there too. Like
I
you
love
probably don't
the
recognize me because of my red arm. Like I think that's very
Han
funny.
Solo. It's blocks the scene between them. Just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, it's great. Yeah.
No, but yeah, there's a great scene in this where he says something on that they're on that festival planet, and they all just look at him, and he kind of turns around and looks away as
Yeah.
well.
Looks away. It
That's
just
really funny.
when they all
And
fall
he
down the singing thing, he's just like, "You didn't say my name, but I'm all right."
Or
and he gets like yeah.
after his memories reset and he's talking about that little alien, he's like, "He's my oldest and dearest friend."
Bubble
He's like, "No,
Frick. He's my
yeah,
dear
Bubba Frick."
friend.
Yeah, he's known him for like 3 seconds.
And he just gets that great emotional moment that was in the trailers. You know, he's
Yeah,
taking one last look at my friend. Again, that's us. That's the audience. We're looking at
exactly.
our friends.
And
Yeah.
I love the scene where like it's all doom and gloom, and they're there like, oh god, we lost the blade and everything, and he's like, such a shame. It lives only in my memory now. It's just like it's great. Babu Frick's awesome. Like
Yeah.
I love Babu Frick.
He's a pretty good little
When
character that appears out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of those characters in Star Wars, and he's definitely probably one of the better ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the light speed skipping. I do think that's kind of a cool thing that they do. How they keep jumping in and out of light speed and like almost crashing and flying
Yeah.
things because now that like the Empire have like light speed tracking or whatever, so they're
Yeah.
trying to lose them and all this stuff. I like that. That's cool. But yeah, it's like that's the thing. I like the opening scene of this film. Like Kylo Ren's just wrecking fools, like just
That's
on that planet, just
he's
taking
like
them out, man.
butchering them,
Like
yes.
yeah, slaughtering, and he's just
Pretty
like
dark.
angry. And then he goes to that planet, hops out of his ship, just walks, just like, "Where's Palpatine? I'm going to kill Palpatine because like
Mm.
I'm the like the supreme leader." I
Yeah.
love that aspect of it. I think it's cool. But yeah, I my favorite thing, and this is horrible. I love how much they just kick Rose. So,
Just-
She
like,
has, like,
hey Rose,
4
you sure you don't want to
lines.
come? She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so busy. I got this power converter to do. Okay, bye.
She's the
She
Jar
has
Jar Binks of this trilogy. She appeared
Yeah.
for one movie,
Oh.
nobody liked her, and they never brought her back.
He's like, Finn's goes find another love interest.
Yep.
It's like, yep.
Yeah.
This one I have much better chemistry with and connection with. But
I really enjoy watching this film. Like, the plot's a mess, right?
Mm.
yeah.
Like, even trying to think back, I don't really remember what happens. They're just constantly chasing things.
Yes.
But it's I don't know. It's just I find it a lot of fun. Like you said, that opening scene with Kylo is really good. I like the constant dread of the Emperor. I don't know. I enjoy them going to that desert planet again. There's a lot of deserts in Star Wars, and
There is.
they meet Billy D. Williams once more.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
enjoy
those-
they brought the dancing aliens back again for another movie? Did you enjoy that?
No,
Yeah.
no, I didn't.
That whole, I didn't enjoy that much.
But I love. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I love that visual of the Death Star in the water. Like
That's
that's
pretty
such a. Again, it's that callback to the Star Destroyer in the first one, but like seeing the Death Star on this planet is awesome.
it's such a cool visual. I
Mm.
really love that in the waves. I don't know how it makes sense though, because it seemed like it got obliterated when it blew up. Like they very much like show it get blow up into like nothing basically. It's
This-
like a big explosion.
This is the third one that they started but didn't have enough money to
Oh,
finish.
and
That's
they
what
just
it is.
dumped it in the ocean.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit,
They just left it on
push
the
it
side
in.
of the road.
That's all they could do.
The Knights of Ren finally show up and like do nothing. They have
Yeah.
that one shot in the desert where it's like posing for like a photo shoot. Like they're all standing on the mountain.
They
The
look like
camera
Dark
does
Souls
the
bosses, but they
the
do
360
nothing.
spin around them.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole cliche thing, and we get it twice in this film of like a random person being like, "But what's your last name?" Like especially the alien that just meets Ray. She's like, "Oh, your name's Ray." Wait, what's your family name? Like, why would this alien know that there's like this human?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and she's like, "Oh, I don't have one." Like, it's just like, I don't like it. It's very cliche and on the nose, but
Yeah.
What about how did you feel about the healing the serpent in the underground tunnels?
There's a lot of force healing in this movie.
Yeah.
There
And
is,
that scene just felt so weird and unnecessary to me. Like it almost felt like them being down in there felt kind of like Indiana Jones. Like they're running through these caves, finding this dagger that's a key.
Yeah.
But then the healing of the serpent, I don't know, it felt like Harry Potter. I don't know. It was weird. It just felt so out of place to me. It felt so out of place.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
just literally their way to show that like she can do that now. And she's like,
Yeah.
I gave away a part of my life
Yeah.
to heal it. Like it's just because has force healing ever been a thing? I'd never really knew of it before this movie.
I mean, I'm sure it's in some cartoon.
It's in
somewhere.
Knights of the Republic, but
Oh,
remember that.
there we go.
And it's kind of an interesting way of like her Jedi journey, right? It's just like I don't know, it reflects her sort of idea about it. So she heals people instead of destroying them. I don't
so
know.
why not just injure someone else? Why not just injure Finn? He's already not much of a character. Make him get injured. Have her heal him.
They got to show that because she did that, it moved out of the way and revealed the exit.
Yeah.
Because compassion is the key to survival.
Is the spark that ignites the flames or some shit.
Yes. Yep. Oh man.
Yeah. No, that scene is a bit weird. You're right.
I like with the whole connection between Ray and Kylo. I do like when they're fighting and it brings in environments from where they are into that, like the red berries like falling onto the ship where she is, and then
Mm,
the Darth Vader falling, like helmet falling. He's like, oh, that's where you
Mm,
are. I do. I,
yeah,
I like that aspect of bringing that sort of stuff into it.
yep.
yeah. You want to talk about messy parts? Every single conversation with Leia in this, watching it like it, every time I
Because
watch it, I'm like, what are
it
they
feels
talking about?
unnatural, though. It feels so
Yeah,
unnatural
It
because
just
it's
feels so.
obviously they're using old footage and CGI. She moves so unnatural, like the way she turns to the
Yeah,
camera and stuff. I'm just like,
yeah.
it's
oh,
the
they should have
weirdest.
just killed her when she flew out of the damn ship.
Yeah, and again, I remember watching this in the movies, and everyone was just kind of like, "This is weird. Why are
Yeah.
they
Yep.
doing this?" And they spend a lot more time with it than they need to. Like, they could have just been like layers off. I don't know, generaling. She doesn't need to have conversations and being like, they don't talk about anything. She's just like,
No.
I'm
No.
just tired. She's like, but why are you feeling this way? I'm like, Sorry, sorry, Leia. What the hell does that have to do with it?
Yeah. It's they obviously used everything they had, and there
Yeah,
wasn't much.
it
Um,
takes me out of it so much.
Speaking of like lightsaber variations, though, the little glimpse we get of Evil Ray with that double lightsaber where it like swings around onto the end of like a circle, that's cool.
Yeah,
Evil
it's
Ray
cool.
is pretty damn cool.
Give me more of that.
Yeah, yeah, we really should have.
Yeah,
Frustrates me.
one
Um,
day.
I really like the Kylo Ray fight in the water. In this one, like where they're jumping between the waves and like
Mm.
you have Finn running in yelling at her all the time, but like
Yeah.
Finn's just always like,
What
stop,
is
stop
Finn? What
fighting.
is Finn in these? Like the last two movies, he's just such a non-character.
I know it's such
He's
wasted
just.
potential.
I mean, if he died in The Last Jedi, he would
It
have
would
been a
make a
great
lot more
character.
sense. It's harder. You're right.
Yeah, I don't really get it either. Again, like you said before, he is the character that had the strongest sort of starting,
Mm,
and they just lost their way so bad they had no idea what to do with him,
yep.
which is and that's why he's kind of always in these he's always the one involved in like the other commentaries. Because again, the whole idea of a stormtrooper breaking rank and figuring out good and evil is cool. It's like, oh, this is unconventional. Maybe he can be the one who like explores the military problems and the economy over in this gambling planet. And he can be the one who's I don't even know what he does in this film. But he's
No.
just always kind of there, like, yes, picking up the ruins that Ray's too busy to help with.
Yeah, there's not much.
But him and Poe, great chemistry.
Mm.
Like their banter,
I mean, Poe.
their almost relationship is just lovely.
Yeah, Poe is like the heart of the Resistance. Like he's such a good character. I love him so much.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's why you're rooting for him against Holdo, who you have no idea who she is in the
Yeah.
second one. Like, it's like, no, Poe is doing shit. And if
No,
you'd
but
just
she had a
told him the plan,
plan.
he could have avoided all this drama.
Exactly. There wouldn't have had to be any sort of
They
mutinies if
would
you
have
just
never gone to Canto Blight. It's a terrible place.
hive of scum and villainy.
Um, Kylo, man, just destroys the Knights of Ren with like no issue. They obviously weren't good students of Luke Skywalker.
No, they're a bunch of
No,
younglings.
I do like that she passes him the lightsaber as well through their connection.
it is cool.
Like, and does it back, and then
Yeah.
his little like to them before he starts fighting them is really cool.
That to me the only annoying thing about it is like they both have blue lightsabers for all those scenes. Like
I
I
know,
need more color variation. Give me
I
more
know.
stuff to look at. Like
We have
it
blue and red,
bothers me so much.
and then right at the end, and then it's like, oh, I really wanted like even um. I was just hoping Rey's like final one should have a different color, like her own lightsaber,
Yep.
And she gets it for that final scene. We get a yellow lightsaber,
Yep.
and it's like the only time we'll ever see it.
Yep.
Is they literally, it's like they put it in just to be like, here's another $500 lightsaber toy to buy.
Yeah.
Like, I like
was
yellow
fair.
too. Yellow's a cool lightsaber color,
It
but
is.
Yeah.
and different. But bloody hell, would have been cool
Yeah.
if it was double as well, like a bow
Yes.
stuff.
Should have been.
Griner, what's your opinion of the Emperor coming back?
I don't know. I go back and forth. Like I mean, I don't know who else they could have done in one movie that would make sense. Like after
Do they have to do anyone though? Could they not have
yeah,
told a story of Kylo and
they need
Rey?
they need another big threat, I think.
Yeah.
And I think
They keep
Palpatine fits that role well as someone you can introduce in one movie. Everybody knows who he is. His whole speech about, there's a path to abilities that might seem unnatural, and that ending up being cloning kind of makes a lot of sense. Like that's kind of cool. I
Mm.
like that idea. So it works fine. I wish I wish, like in general, the trilogy had a better second big bad guy, but this is what
Yeah.
we've got for one film, and I think it works well enough in that way.
I mean,
I think if
You had Snoke, and Snoke's just a clone. I don't like that. That
Yeah,
Snoke's like in the chamber as like he's
yeah,
just another clone of Palpatine. It's
but it
just
explains a lot, right? That's why he's got a weird crack in the head. Like he's just this clone that's gone
so
wrong. I think it fits in surprisingly well though that it works well with what Johnson did because Snoke gets subverted. He's just a nobody who somehow became the leader, and he gets killed off.
Yeah.
And so it kind of fits that. It's like, yeah, he was a clone. He never had to be somebody. And so for sure, like Snoke in the Abrams timeline probably could have been a lot better.
Yep.
But coming off that trailer, I think they did a good job of. That's like a good retcon, I think, where they gave a reason why it was subverted. It explains a lot, and I think having the Emperor like just ties it all nicely. Because remember, all the prequels are about the Emperor,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the rise of the Emperor.
so I really do think it's a nice way. You've got the original is about the Emperor in
The
power.
Emperor.
The prequels are the rise. This is the fall. Like it's a very nice way to cap it off. It should have been better to sort of have either more of him in the other films, like you say, to sort of hint at it a bit more instead of just
Out of nowhere.
dropping
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I totally see why people got annoyed at it and why people think it's like a real cop out.
Because
But
Ray being Palpatine sort of comes out of nowhere.
yeah,
Although
But
I love the scene. We've passed it, but like I love her baiting Kylo and like running and jumping over the ship and cutting it down, and then trying to drag the ship back with Chewie on it, and the lightning sparks out. I think that's really cool. Like it's this moment, like oh crap,
yeah,
like
And she thinks she
what sort of
blew
power do
up
I have?
Chewie. Like, yeah, that's
I
Yeah.
know. And I'm like, did they just kill Chewie?
Yeah.
And they leave you on it for like 5 minutes, like oh Chewie's gone.
Yep.
And then they finally show up. But
it just rocks up.
and Hux is a traitor, and then gets taken out like a chump as well.
Yeah.
Again, I like all that though because his whole thing is he hates Kylo, right?
I like that, but yeah,
It's
I
better
get
than
it.
it's better than how they characterize him in the second movie.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
So it's an improvement, I suppose.
But I remember it being shocked when he's like, I'm the spy." I was like, "What?" And Poe's just like, "I knew it." And Finn's like, "No, you didn't." Like,
That's good. That's funny.
yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
good. No, it is. That's good.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool the visual thing of the Emperor being restored when he like takes their life force, and all of a sudden his cape changes color again, and now he's got like unlimited. The lightning bolt into the sky where it has that really like blotchy like sound when he just
Awesome.
brings all the ships down is pretty damn cool. It is
Yeah.
pretty damn cool. But yeah,
So the final fight, I thought they were going to do this, and I wish they had done this, but like they're talking about how like I'm all the Jedi and I'm all the Sith, and they have the voices of the other Jedi. Like, why couldn't
all of
they?
them.
Why couldn't the Force ghosts fight? Right? Give us
Yeah.
Sith Force ghosts versus Jedi Force ghosts. Bring back Mace Windu. Bring back Kit Fisto. Bring back
All of
all
them.
these characters.
Ewan
and have-
McGregor,
Yeah, seriously. Disney's got the dollars. I'm sure they could have pulled it off.
they
Well, I
literally
don't know.
they literally just had Luke Skywalker as a Force Ghost catch a lightsaber. They are a physical presence.
Yeah.
Like he catches the lightsaber and
Yeah.
stops Rey from throwing it away. Oh, it would have been
Have it be
I
this
don't-
big clash of the Jedi and the Sith.
finally taking out Emperor Palpatine and have Darth Vader in there too. Not Hayden
That-
Christensen, Darth Vader.
They're
They're like, die, you bitch.
Resurrect Sebastian's sure. I
Yep.
really like it would have cost a lot of money. Although you're right, Disney does have the
I
money,
don't,
but
I don't, I
Disney.
don't think that's an argument at all.
You have
for this
Endgame.
movie.
You have
This is-
Endgame and
This is
Infinity
Star
War.
Wars and
No.
Disney.
we were just talking about how this film earns so much less. Disney has seen the writing on the wall. Disney's not dumb. They know that
but
this film was underperforming. They know Last Jedi was a critical darling, but wasn't a commercial success or love. They were conservative with this film, which is why they went so far back and like, let's just undo everything we've seen.
Fan service, and it's
I
just
truly
make
like.
a safe film. I feel like
I truly don't think they would have risked and been like, we have to drop another 100 million to get all these people, and they were like, no. I don't think they would have wanted to risk that.
I don't
Alright.
think it cost you 100 million to bring Hayden Christensen and Samuel Jackson on
No,
board. They're not doing
I don't
that.
know. I think
Samuel L. Jackson probably has a pretty big
He,
fee, I
but he
imagine.
does a lot of stuff, though. He does a lot of
That's
stuff.
true too, I suppose.
But I feel like they could. People, a lot of them would know. It's like Disney's got a lot of money. We can charge out. 5 minutes of my time is a lot.
I wonder if
They're not
that
doing
was.
this out of the
I wonder if
goodness
that
of
was
their
ever
heart.
the plan. Then I don't know. I wish that. That's what I wish had happened. Like I feel like that'd be a more
It's,
interesting.
You don't
More
need
rounded
all the
ending.
Jedi. You have
It would have been
Ewan
much better.
McGregor. You have Darth Vader or someone or Anakin or whatever. You have Yoda. You have Luke.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
doesn't
you
Mace
need
Windu
all
as
of them.
well, just because
I
to
saw the
get
subtitles.
to
It
finally get
crushes them, yeah.
revenge on Emperor Palpatine for cutting his arm off and killing him.
And then we see Jar Jar appear on the side of the Sith, and it's finally like, oh, it was confirmed all along.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, Misa in trouble."
That was the best theory. I still
Theory
appreciate
or
the
fact?
Not
theory
even a
of
theory, man. He's responsible for the death of the
It's
Jedi
true.
and the
It's
rise
true.
of the Emperor.
It's
It
true.
happens.
Bloody damn
Yeah.
Jar Jar.
That would have been a sick ending. You're right. To see sort of the two sides go at it in a nice finale for the whole thing.
What's your opinion of Ben bringing her back to life using the Force heal and then dying after their kiss?
Yeah, it's not the worst last
Yeah.
kiss that we've seen.
Obviously, he
don't-
brings her back from the dead, so it's going to kill him because they established that earlier.
And they're
Yeah.
probably related in some way too.
Yeah, so it's probably better they didn't
In
do
some
anything.
weird way.
I know. The film kind of falls apart in the end.
It does a bit.
It's definitely not my favorite part. I enjoy the journey. I don't. Every time I watch this, I get to the end. I kind of drop off.
Yeah.
No. The end, I'm just waiting for Babu Frick to show up and be like, "Hey!"
He's great.
All I'm
He
waiting
is
for.
great.
He's good.
I love that they just blow up that planet that he's on, though, and they don't establish that they fled beforehand. That ship destroys
Yeah.
that planet, and they're like, "Oh my god, they took out that planet we just left with all my friends on it." But then they show up in the final battle. They're like, "We
Yeah.
got off in time."
Yeah.
Babu Frick's aware.
Yeah, he is. He's the most powerful Jedi of all time.
There's a weird scene at the end with Lando, and is he
It is
flirting?
weird.
He's like, "Let's
Is he-
find out."
Oh,
Why
it's
did they
so
cut back to him?
strange.
I don't understand it.
It stays on him for too long too.
It
It's just like,
does.
well, let's find out, huh? And it's just like, wait, because at the start I'm like, wait, is that his daughter? Because he's a
kind of-
player, and then it's like, wait, no, okay, are they flirting?
Oh.
Oh man, Star Wars and incest. It just goes way too much.
Is it
I
just
love it.
because he's the only character from the original movies that's still alive in canon? I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
He's just a strange character to come back to. There's Chewie, I suppose, too.
I mean, I'd watch a show about Lando, just this smooth soul daddy, just cruising around in his purple velvet spaceship, just making love to all the space women.
There was talk of Gambino getting his own movie, I think, at some point, but it never happened.
After the performance of
No.
Solo, I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
Which is a
it
shame because
definitely won't happen now. He is good, but it won't happen now.
Did you guys like Harrison Ford come back for one more scene?
I was so
He's seen with
surprised that he
Ben.
came back again.
I know. I'm like, they must have chucked a lot of money to him after Carrie Fisher died or something. Because
Yeah.
obviously, I feel like this might have been with her fading off,
Yep.
her talking to him one last time, because we never get a scene of her and Kylo
No.
talking in the whole trilogy, which is
Yep.
weird. But man, I'm always happy for more Harrison Ford, and I love that scene. It's really touching. They
One of the best
reenact the same
scenes.
dialogue of I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it, and it's great. Yeah.
No, it's such a good scene. Harrison Ford is surprisingly a great actor. Who'd have thought?
Yep.
What about the sinking sand on what do you guys think of that scene?
Well, I mean, that leads into the caves and the healing of the snake.
Yeah.
I dislike that whole section, honestly.
I just remembered them, it's such a weird part. It's just this patch of black sand.
It feels like
and
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you're
It
right.
does.
I forgot how they got there. Now I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
The only good thing to come out of that is C-3PO not wanting to translate the Sith text, even though he can. It's good, and that leads to Babu Frick. All good things, but
And right before Babu Frick resets his memory, he's like, "Oh wait, there's another way." Just gets shut down. Yeah. So okay, rank the trilogy.
Well, sorry, I just want to ask.
Easy, isn't it?
Let's do that, and then I just have a question.
Yeah, I think
No, you
it's
ask
time.
your question first.
Why do you guys think Last Jedi is critically revered but audience-ly hated, and not vice versa? I mean, Rise of Skywalker is kind of, most people find it flat,
but
it
not
just-
to the degree that critics hated on it.
No, yeah. So, why do you guys think there is such a disparity with Last Jedi? Because it's one of the most fascinating things that it is and you've seen it come up a few times now. I mean, The Witcher comes to mind. Audience loved that show, but critics hated that show. And there's a few other things that it's sort of come up it's really divided. And there's like this so I was looking at this heaps of articles. There is so much like debate around it. Why do you guys think?
Is it political? I don't know. Like, it seems like it's very much to do with politics, and especially America politics at the time, especially. I feel like I
H-
don't know, but
How
I
do you
don't know.
mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? How is this politically motivated? I don't understand.
I don't know. Like,
Do you think it's more
I feel
woke
like
than the other movies? Is that what you're trying to say?
it's more progressive.
Yeah,
I feel like, and I don't know, the whole stuff with Canto Blight, like, it seems like that's the thing that people hate, like, fans hate, but none of the critics hated, and, like, probably praised how deep its bloody political messaging was about war's bad and all this sort of stuff. I don't know, like, I don't know the reason, but I feel like that one was the most. I don't know if it's because of the reaction to Last Jedi, where so many people, were on the wrong side of politics, where they were hating on actresses and all this sort of stuff, and it was a very clear divide of
Mm.
like people loving it and people hating it and people being racist and all this. And there was an era of Trump in that time. It was like I don't know, but it seemed very like, yeah, I don't know. But there is a big difference between, I think, fan perception and all that, because and even the critics' perception was like fans need to stop being babies. Like Star Wars is now for everybody, or like I don't know. It was a weird thing, but
yeah, there was a bit of that
I th-
narrative going
yeah, I
around.
think
You're
you're
right.
right. But the other thing I think that like fans love fan service is as bad as it is. Like fan service is something fans like, and I think critics don't. And I think
yeah,
like Force Awakens like fan service to the max. But
yeah,
But
then
critics liked that.
I
That's
know
got a Metascore of
they
80.
did. You're right, but I feel like the Last Jedi is just like, let's throw all that out the door. This is the Star Wars movie for everyone. I'm going to give you these great visuals. I'm going to give you all these, fantastic scenes and like a well paced story, even if it is a little messy if you're looking at it with the rest of the trilogy, I guess. Like, do you review a movie as a critic as am I looking at this piece of media standalone? Because I think it's a stronger movie that way. But if you look at it as part of the trilogy or as part of the greatest Star Wars universe, it's a lot weaker.
Yeah, I was reading something that said a similar thing. That like the way that film criticism is meant to happen is like you're sort of it's meant to be rated on how well the director or whatever achieved their vision, right?
Mm,
And so if what they're trying to do in the film works according to the critics' ideas, it gets, it's a great film.
yeah.
mm,
And similar, yeah, and that sort of idea, like how it functions as a movie and what it works in that way. And so I see that being a pretty good answer. I also see, um, like, yeah, all of the reviews, all the praise and the reviews and stuff are like, it's a great film, it's great visual fun. There's no sort of care about what Star Wars is as an entity or what the universe is. It's just like
Mm,
I enjoyed this film for its spectacle and for its emotional moments and stuff. And I think my biggest issue with it is like, and I think audiences' issues with it is that it doesn't do what Star Wars should be.
mm,
Like it misses all those big points. It tries, like I said, it tries to subvert everything.
yep.
And so that's kind of where the audience like, well, it's not a Star Wars film, but yeah, critics all seem to be like, but it's a great film or something.
it's not, man. I don't like. You
But
can
yeah,
never convince me that Canto Blight is good.
well, that's where
Worth
I
its
fall
time.
down on it as well because I'm like, there are so many bad choices. There's plots that don't work. There's
Mm,
there's poor writing. There's like thematic ideas that have no relevance to the story. There's character betrayal that, like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think it's a well written movie in a lot of ways. I don't know.
So is it the weakest of the trilogy?
yes,
Yes, in my opinion too.
yeah. All it has going
Yeah.
for it is Ben Swallow. That's it.
It
No, it's got some great visuals. Like it's
No, it
does.
really
does.
It does.
like
Like Ben Swallow.
Adam Driver is a handsome man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's a bit weird looking at first, but the more you look at him, like no, he's
Like, it's kind
I
of
mean,
jarring in Force Awakens when he first takes his helmet off, and I
it
remember being
is
like, "Oh, wow, he's like an
totally is.
emo teenager." Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. It's a different take, But
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
yeah.
I think it depends on what you want in Star Wars. If you want Star Wars, then this is the worst film, which it is for. I totally agree. I do not like Last Jedi. But if
Yeah.
you want something different for the future, that's why so many people love this movie, right? And like
We
I know maybe not so many people, but I know a few people who are like, oh, they don't care for the trilogy, but they really rate Last Jedi. And I think because they're looking for that, like, oh, but it's different. It's just something new.
I
we
think
didn't talk about the Porgs.
They're pretty dope.
I do like a scene of Chewbacca going to eat one.
Yeah,
And someone
Yeah.
just
fun.
staring at him and him
It's just
feeling
got-
bad about it. My son
But he's
cracked
already
up
killed
laughing.
them. He's
I
already
know,
got
He's
them.
already
Yeah.
dead,
burns
yeah.
more.
Just
Burns.
eat him, Chewie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I think his idea and his vision works better outside of the core trilogy, right? Like, give him a project like The Mandalorian. Doesn't have to be a TV show, but outside of this, tell a story about
Not
the
the Skywalker saga.
socio-economic effects of constant war and
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff. Like, you can explore that in those places. I don't think it belongs in the the Skywalker trilogy or the Skywalker series
No.
of movies.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
couldn't
get a
have said it better.
trilogy on Rose. Who knows?
I mean, flesh her into a good character. I'm happy for that.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
Yeah, just don't keep her the way she is because she's not a good character.
yeah. So obviously, Force Awakens,
yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi.
Last
Yep.
Jedi.
How do you rank all of the films? We got to do that. We
Yeah,
can't.
we do.
I guess we do.
But-
Yeah, I think that was the goal.
This is the final one. Luckily, someone on Facebook recently posted this topic, and I posted my list on there. So I'm just going to find that while you guys.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Obviously,
I
you
think
can
I could
usually
give
think
mine.
your top one's pretty
I
easily.
always muddle up the subtitles of the movies though, but for me, number one, Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, I need a list of these movies.
Yeah.
Gotta go. Empire Strikes Back is irrefutable.
Yeah.
I would probably. Oh yeah.
Do you want me to do my whole list? So for me, it would go Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, Force Awakens, Return of the Jedi. Jeez,
So you put A New Hope over Force Awakens?
I think so. For me personally, I probably would prefer to watch Force Awakens again. Like, it's so just, I don't know, these new trilogy visually the best Star Wars we've ever had, and probably will ever have. And then probably Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, and then the other two. Oh no, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith's not bad. It probably comes before the other two of the new trilogy. So Revenge of the Sith, sorry, Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, and then Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. That's last.
Conan, do you have yours yet? Or I'll say mine.
Yeah, mine's got to be a stream of consciousness.
So I've got Force Awakens as number one.
Number one.
Yeah, dude, it's my favorite Star Wars film.
I think it's fair enough.
Like, legitimately, this is the film I've watched the most in cinemas of all time. I went and saw this at the cinemas 9 times, and I wasn't working that month, and just like I was like, I'm pretty sure I was unemployed, and I was just like, man, it's on every day. Like, it seemed like because it was school holidays over Christmas, it was on every day. I was just like, man, I'm gonna go watch it again, and like loved it every time, like so much. So Force Awakens, Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith,
It's number 4.
and then Return of the Jedi, then Rise of Skywalker, then Last Jedi, then Phantom Menace, finishing with Attack of the Clones. Sorry, Conan, we disagree with the list we did last fortnight. Attack of the Clones is the worst.
Yeah,
it's not. Oh, it's not.
They're so close. It's so hard to pick between the two.
They're both bad.
Detective Obi-Wan is awesome.
It is. Everything else is bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Empire's got to be the best. I feel like number 2. No, I feel like number 2 has to be A New Hope because of its legacy. Like, it's the first one, and because of just what it is. Like, as purely as a film, it's a different list if you're arguing that, because then it adjusts everything. I just think Force Awakens has to be high because it's the OG, and like it's on par with
A New Hope. Yeah.
A New Hope.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, that's second. Force Awakens is third. Return of the Jedi's got to be fourth. As much as I hate the Ewoks, I love Jabba. And I'd probably put Rise of Skywalker next, actually. So I think I enjoy watching that more than I do enjoy watching Revenge. And then it would go. And then, are we basing this just on like what you enjoy watching more, or what you think's better?
It's a better Star Wars film.
They'd probably go Revenge, Last Jedi. Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace.
Pretty
Our
similar,
lists are very similar, but yeah.
Yeah,
especially in the bottom half.
because we're smart, guys. We're all smart. That's why.
But yeah, I have Revenge of the Sith over Return of the Jedi. The CGI extras just pissed me off. Like, I know I'll
Fair
probably look at
enough.
it through a different lens one day, but watching it, it annoyed me to the point that I was like, I'm not enjoying this because it's like bothering me.
But I think
And
what you're
Revenge of the Sith,
forgetting
I think, has some cool stuff in it.
is that Carrie Fisher's in a gold bikini in that.
It's true. For a lot of
Yeah.
that movie.
That's better than everything in Revenge of the Sith.
I don't know. You got Luke killing Anakin killing younglings. You got that lightsaber fight on whatever it is.
That's what I mean.
lava planet.
The whole emotion, the whole final payoff is really good in Revenge.
Yeah.
I can't deny that.
So yeah.
All right. Have we done it? We've done it. We've covered Star Wars.
What an epic
Trilogy of
journey.
trilogies. Well done.
Right.
Tell us what your favorite films were. Let us know on socials at Good Bad Worst. Now, Luke,
Yes.
we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. What trilogy
Yes.
are we doing next week?
So I feel like Conan said before we started recording this, I feel like we've had way too much Disney recently, so I'm trying to move away from that. I'm not doing Marvel. I was going to do
Whoa.
Avengers. Not doing Marvel. Something non-Disney. So we'll be doing the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, the famous Disney ride. Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. I haven't watched these films since I was I haven't watched these films since they came out. Basically,
Really?
I really liked them when I was a kid, and I loved Jack Sparrow. But I'm interested to see how they hold up after 20 years.
Now,
So
how many movies is there? I feel like there's more than three,
yeah,
isn't there?
There's more than three. Where only
there's
like
five.
but the original three is definitely a trilogy, and it ends.
So up to At World's End is the final one?
Yeah, we're watching just the
Yeah,
first three.
Curse
We're
of
not
the Black
going
Pearl,
further than that.
Dead Man's Chest, At World's End. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I haven't seen these movies in such a long time. I can't say
Yeah.
I'm the biggest fan, but
Davy Jones, man.
there is
First
something.
one.
There is
ever
something to
in a
Jack
film.
Sparrow. He's a fun character.
There
Definitely.
is. These films are fun. Like, that can't be denied.
Yeah.
Right on.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Well, join us next time for the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. This podcast has been brought to you by The Taste of Iron by C.V.
is.
Clarke, our very own C.V. Clarke. You can find it on Amazon. Grab it. It's a very good book. If you like this podcast, you might enjoy our gaming podcast, Bonus XP. You'll find that on YouTube and anywhere you find your podcasts. Check us out on socials, review us on iTunes, tell your mum about us, and we'll catch you next time.
May the force be with you.
Word.